Hey guys, this is going to be an intro video about your persuasive writing essay. Now, normally when we'd have a writing assignment like this, I'd hand it out to you in class, we'd read through it, and I'd have a chance to kind of talk about it. But since we're not able to do that, I thought I would just make a short video for you. So today I'm going to talk about just what persuasive writing is, first of all, and then give you some direction, some advice on writing your intro and your thesis statement. So first off, what is persuasive writing? Persuasive writing is writing that is meant to convince. It's meant to convince somebody to think something or to do something. It's trying to get someone to agree with what you believe, your opinion, what you want to argue. You're trying to convince somebody to do something. Persuasive writing. Now, why is persuasive writing important? We're going to be writing a persuasive essay, but persuasive writing can take all kinds of forms, right? A lot of times when I write an email, or I write a proposal of some kind, I'm trying to convince somebody to do something. It's very useful in work. It's very useful for whatever kind of job you're going to have, but it's also just useful in life, right? We can't just a lot of times we can't force people to believe something. We can't force them to do things. Sometimes we can, but a lot of times we can't. So we need to convince them that what we think is right. And in fact, it's oftentimes better, right? Instead of forcing somebody to do something, if they agree with it, if they also think it's a good idea and it's something that they want to do, then it's going to be more effective. You're gonna be more likely to get the result that you want if you can convince somebody or persuade them. So for this assignment, we decided to make the topic open. And I know that that can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes because you're like, I don't know what I'm going to write about. I could write about anything. So maybe just some ways to sort of think about this. What do you care about? What do you want people to think? What do you want people to do? I might think about something related to school. I'm thinking like maybe a school policy having to do with like recess or homework or lunch or something like that. If you wanted to convince someone about something related to school. Your parents. Is there anything that you want your parents to do or think that you believe that you want? Could you try and convince your parents of something? Or maybe your friends, maybe your classmates. Maybe there's something that you want people your own age, your peers, to also believe like you do. So just as my example for you, my argument, something I care about, I would think that teachers should get a raise. I think we should all get paid way more money than we do. So just as to give you an example, my argument is going to be teachers deserve a raise. And when I'm going, if that's going to be the argument that I want to make, I need to first think about who is my audience. Right? Who do I need to convince that is true in order for me to get my raise? Sometimes an audience could be general, like you just want anybody and everybody to think or believe what you do, but it's usually better to be specific and to have somebody in mind. So if I, as another example, before I get into mine, if I wanted to argue that rap music is the best kind of music, that argument is going to look different if I'm addressing parents, right, or older people than if I'm trying to address people my own age who might already kind of like it or might already be more inclined to like it. So it's important to think about your audience because how you're going to make your argument, the kind of evidence you're going to give, the arguments you're going to make will look different depending on who your audience is. So for me, if I want to get a raise, the people that I need to convince are administrators. Right? I need to convince people on the school board, and it would help to have support of parents, right, in the community. I could make the argument to you that I should get a raise, but that's going to be different than if I'm trying to argue people who are actually in a position to make that decision. And when I'm writing, I always want to be thinking about that person. It helps if you can even imagine like one person, like an ideal person. Um, and as you're writing, write to that person. Um, think about like talking to them and explaining something to them specifically. That's going to make your argument a lot more convincing. It's going to make it a lot more persuasive. So if I'm starting off writing this, the first thing that I need is a thesis statement. And I actually already kind of have a thesis statement, but it's important for us to understand what a thesis statement is and to be able to talk about that. So the thing you want to think about is a thesis statement is a topic plus an opinion, right? It has to be both. It has to be about something, and it also has to give your opinion about that topic. If you don't have an opinion in there somewhere, then it's not a thesis statement. That's important to keep in mind. So for me, my topic is teacher pay, right? How much money teachers earn. That's the topic. That's sort of generally what it's about. And then what is my opinion about that? My opinion is that teachers should get paid more. So because I have a topic, salaries, opinion, they should be higher. That's a thesis. That's a thesis statement. So now if I'm going to write this argument out for administrators and school board members to read, I'm not going to just start with that. If I just start off by saying, I think I should get paid more, that's not going to be as convincing, right? I need to kind of get into it. I kind of need to like introduce it and work into that a little bit slowly. This is when we're going to go into writing our intro paragraph. So if I'm writing an intro paragraph, the first thing that I want to do is I want to kind of get the reader's attention. I know we tell you this all the time, and I always feel like it's a little bit like unfair or difficult, like what I'm actually asking you to do. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, right? I don't have to like blow my mind with your first sentence and make me just like I have to read this. But it should be something that sort of invites the reader in. It should sort of get the reader into what it is that you're going to talk about. So for yours is going to look different because you're going to be making a different argument. But for me, if I wanted to argue that teachers should get paid more, I think what I would do is I would maybe start with like an anecdote. It's called like a short little story that's called an anecdote. Maybe about how a teacher or me worked really hard, went above and beyond, overtime, did more than I really had to do. Because that's going to kind of set up my argument a little bit. The other thing I could do is start with a statistic, maybe something if I had some data about how much teachers make compared to people in other professions. That would be a good way to kind of set up my argument because again, I'm getting towards this idea that teachers work really hard and that they should earn more money. So that's going to be my hook. That's going to be my initial start to kind of get the reader's interest and attention in what I'm talking about, and then that's going to allow me to kind of build up to making my thesis statement. Typically, the way it's taught in school is that the thesis statement should be the last sentence of the first paragraph. I think in a lot of ways that makes sense, but I don't want you to feel like you have to follow some kind of formula for writing. I never want you to think about writing in that way. But the main thing, the important thing is that by the end of the first paragraph, I should know two things. I should know what is this about, I should know what you're talking about, and I should know what you think about it. Again, that's that thesis statement part. What is your opinion about that topic? Absolutely has to be in the first paragraph. If you don't do that, the reader's going to feel lost, right? They're going to feel like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what it's about. So in your intro paragraph, make sure that you introduce your topic, catch their interest, get them wanting to read more in some kind of way, and then give us your thesis statement. What is your opinion?